Hey, what's up everybody, this is Muse24, and today I'm going to be doing a review of parts 2 and 3 of the new Nova series. I was actually planning to just do a review of part 2, but then I went out today and picked up part 3 and burned through it really fast because I'm really enjoying this series surprisingly more than I thought I would. Like, I thought it'd be fun, but I'm really enjoying the character development and the way that they're incorporating a lot of the other Cosmic Marvel stuff into this. So, with Volume 1, it was obviously the origin story of the new Nova and sort of incorporating all these new elements of the Nova Corps that we didn't know about before with stuff that we were already pretty familiar with to set the stage for everything. Volume 2 here is shorter lengthwise, but certainly more dense, I think, than the first volume was in terms of what we're talking about. There's some Infinity tie-ins there. It does well to sort of develop Sam as a character and focus more on his school life and his home life, as well as kind of deal with the challenges he's facing as a kid, now taking on all the responsibilities of being the last Nova. So it's really interesting to see him interact with the Avengers and Spider-Man and a couple other heroes, as well as be the target of Thanos and all of his little minions as the Infinity stuff starts to come to a head there. In Volume 3, we have a little bit more of the classic Nova cosmic action stuff. You know, he adventures around with other characters. We have some really cool guest appearances by Beta Ray Bill and Cosmo the dog, and it's just a little bit more fun that way. Not that I dislike Volume 2 at all, but Volume 2 is more exposition and sort of setting the stage more, following up on Volume 1, whereas Volume 3, like, we kind of have the playing field all set for us, so we can do some more crazy fun things. And it's kind of interesting that they have sort of a fetch quest to a certain degree in Volume 3, where Sam's helmet starts pinpointing all these locations in the galaxy, and he finds out that they're actually the locations of the dead Novas. They're like where all the helmets were, and so he can gather more data from them. Admittedly, I don't remember what happened to the Nova World Mind after the events of the Thanos Imperative. I don't remember if it was stored somewhere or if it disappeared into the Cancerverse with Richard Rider, because I know that the World Mind was what gave Richard Rider his new powers, his role as like the last most powerful Nova, up to the end of the Thanos Imperative stuff. So I'm not sure if that went into the Cancerverse with him. Obviously, it's basically lost on that side of the Universal Rift. But if it was stored somewhere else, obviously Sam hasn't encountered it yet. But finding all the other Nova helmets and gathering data from them seems to be the best way for him to understand what he's doing and sort of the greater threats that the Nova Corps faced before he came into the picture. So I thought it was really cool because they could have made that really boring and him just jumping from one place to another, but they have it where he's sort of questioning the grand scale of what he's taking on here. Because when the map first comes out, he thinks it's sort of like, oh, these are missions I'm supposed to go do, or these are distresses that I'm supposed to respond to, and then he realizes these are all the Novas that came before him, and the ones that have helmets left over with information that he can gather. There is a little bit of him taking on the space police role of responding to people sending out distress calls and all that, and it's actually what gets him in a bit of hot water and eventually causes him to team up with Beta Ray Bill there. I love Beta Ray Bill. I've only read a handful of comics with him in them, but I've always enjoyed the way they present him, because he's obviously this really weird, bizarre-looking alien that looks incredibly monstrous, but is this really cool, very noble character who is one of the few who can wield Thor's hammer. So it's cool to see him team up with that, and such a very drastic difference in the characters there. Volume 3 is about twice as thick as Volume 2, and the artwork just keeps getting better and better as these Nova volumes go on, which is impressive because I thought the first volume's artwork was really well done. But I love the cover art in both of these. For Rookie Season, obviously we have Thanos with Nova in his hand, and then for Nova Corps, which is a little clever play on words there, we have Sam tearing the helmet off and kind of falling out of the sky. We do have some cover art variants and such in these volumes. Here's one from Volume 2, says Nova was here on the moon. And we do get to see more of the Watcher here. So I presume everything, at least from Volume 2, takes place before Original Sin would have started. And then we have a couple other volumes. One with him waving at Richard Rider there in the background. And then one with one of his schoolmates sort of roller skating on his back there, if you will, or surfing on his back. But the artwork as a whole is pretty good. Here we have some stuff with Thanos and his fleet. Lots of detail going on there. And here we have him running in with the Superior Spider-Man. Got some really cool lighting effects and all that going on there in Volume 2. Tip that back. And then Volume 3, we have some really well done bits with like the aliens and sort of like the nasty, I don't know, slobber and web stuff from these giant spider aliens that he runs into. And then when he runs into Beta Ray Bill, we've got some really cool lighting effects with the colors of the magic and the beams and all that going on. So that's pretty awesome. We get to visit some familiar places like Nowhere and Jotunheim, as well as obviously Sam's school and his home and all that. But then in the back of Volume 3, they do have a collection of all the previous Nova covers from the start of Richard Rider, before he actually joined like the Nova Corps, when he was just doing it by himself as a human rocket, up to the Annihilation War and all that stuff, into Annihilation Conquest, and then up to obviously the new stuff with Sam as the lead Nova. And then you do get a little bonus comic here in the back, which is just kind of a little joke thing. But it's, 2 pages to read through. And then here we have some of the alternate cover art. There's Cosmo as a Nova chasing a bone through space. And then here we have some artwork of Sam with Beta Ray Bill, which I think is really cool. And I'm actually surprised I didn't use one of these for the cover art for the trade back here. But yeah, I highly recommend this series. I think that the first volume was pretty good, but the second and third volumes are actually better, which is interesting because I mentioned with the first volume that I'd heard mixed things about it, so I was just going to give it a shot to see how I liked it, and I really enjoyed it. And then Volume 2, I heard from a lot of people that it was kind of a weak entry, but I think it's honestly better than the first one. It does more to develop the characters, so it's maybe not as exciting to read, but it's very much worthwhile. So if you're kind of on the fence about checking out some of the more cosmic Marvel stuff like Nova here, I highly recommend it. I really enjoy this sort of single character focus thing, but also incorporating guest characters in a way that makes sense and feels more fluid. That's the one thing I was kind of griping about with the new Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Some of the guest characters they throw in there, it feels like they just did it for a one-shot to be like, oh, we can sell double the issues by putting this other character from this other story in there. And I love Guardians, don't get me wrong, but it kind of annoyed me when they just do that for one issue, whereas here you have Beta Ray Bill stick around for like half the whole volume here, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty much it for this review of Volumes 2 and 3, and with that I will see you guys next time.